It's a beautiful Monday on Your View. This is the first Monday in the month of February. I am Tokwe Mark Odige, and I'm your host for today. As usual, I have my lovely ladies, and especially we have my Mary sitting in for us. How you doing, Mary?
Very well, thank you.
Thanks for always having our back. I always say that all the time, right? But we appreciate it. We don't want to take you for granted. How you doing?
Very well.
I'm sure everybody that watched Wake Up already know all that is happening with you. But then, anything new?
Just the usual weekend on radio, then weekdays. But basically, the big one for me right now is the Okada ban.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the issue of transportation is becoming really scary. Scary in the sense that, yes, it's good to walk. I like to walk. But you don't want to walk when you are tired, and there's no alternative to the nearest bus stop.
At the moment right now,
even earlier on Wake Up Nigeria, I mentioned the fact that NURTW officials need to take charge. The fares are going up, and it's not good for the commuters.
They're making it expensive.
That's why I said they need to take charge. Like, they need to do the right thing, really, because 50 naira fares turning to 100, 100 turning to 200. So it's unfair. It's unfair.
I'm sure I'll hear that when I do my staff meeting today, because they'll be giving me the feedback on how difficult it is getting to work, or how it's more expensive, and how I should find a way to bump up what their income should be.
Another thing with that has happened is we went to the markets around my area. So we have all these small community markets, and most of them were unable to get their things, their produce, to the markets.
They usually use
what
the
that
bikes.
would mean is whatever is available will be more expensive, you know. So those are the sort of things that would happen because of the ban on Okadas.
How was your weekend?
Yeah. My weekend was good. What did I do? I went out with my husband for a coffee date.
Nice.
Yeah.
I can only hear that from Mariam and understand it. Like, who goes for a coffee date?
But that's cool.
I mean, that was what we said we were going for. This lovely coffee place, and we just went to try it out. Very nice, very nice.
When
place.
Nima was showing us catfish,
I mean, I was inspired. I was inspired by Nima.
Pepper, I was like, I feel like eating it from Instagram. Who does that? That's the kind of TV I like. You know, my husband. There's hardly, you can't count 5 Amala joints they don't know us in. They recognize us. Once we come
I
in.
know Olaya now, good Olaya.
No, I'm saying like from point to point, Mobola, you as every, where you just say, they say, Oga, you brought Madame today. Like, we've been doing
people in Amod of Belgium, that's what we do for this.
We've gone
so there's a kind of food that you'd like, and because Jumoke was like, that's not a romantic date. I actually concern you. Romantic, we look really romantic to me. That's what inspired my
It was the full tray of the catfish that was the...
I saw it, I'm like...
He was like, she be posting food up and down. Come. Meet me up somewhere. I was like, I'm not going. So he came home to drag me, and I got there. It was a full
tray. I could tell you were happy. I mean, you had this content look on your face. Like,
that's why they say people, we like food.
No, it wasn't about food. That day, I did it. On Friday, I was so tired. I didn't want to cook. So when I finally got dragged to eat out, it was really nice. I didn't want to cook at all. Thank you, Zip. I wanted to do a shout out to my sister-in-law. It was her birthday on Saturday. On Sunday, Mrs. Sarah Otobo. She's now an Urubu woman. She likes to do Urubu, but that's my sister-in-law. Figure stitches. She's got you. And if people are looking at her, she's not aging. She's just aging backwards. Like, happy birthday, man. She tries really. She
tries to market your assets that you're trying to hide.
No matter.
That's how I know
she's figure stitches, so she does it with the figure. So it just comes out like that. But she tries, happy birthday, man.
Yeah, happy birthday, ma'am. More successes this new year. Yes. My weekend was very, very unexpectedly, like everything, it started very good. I signed my contract with Hair by Tabisco. I've been wearing that hair for the past few months, so now I'm officially wearing every hair from Hair by Tabisco. I'm an ambassador. Like, I got paid, as in, it was something that I would have done for free, but then I got paid to do it, so, so I'm really excited about that. But after leaving the church event where I went to speak at Women of Destiny, I got a call from my husband that his dispatch rider got arrested. And so I spent the rest of the day at the police station. Calls. I'm like, who seizes this kind of bike? It is obviously not a commercial bike.
It has a box on it?
It didn't have a box. Okay. The man has he wears his ID card. He had his ID card and he had his bag. Yeah. And I was like, so why would you, the police Shout out to the DPO of Ogudu Police Station, Celestine Kalu. She was wonderful, and she was awarded last year by the governor of Lagos State for her outstanding performance. Yeah. She was outstanding for me on Saturday, and it wasn't because she doesn't even watch it. She doesn't know me on Your View. She was just doing her job, and she was fantastic. She was off. She was like, why would you seize this? But it wasn't her station. It was the DPO from Anthony Police Station that seized a dispatch power bike. And there were only 2 dispatch power bikes in the entire seized vehicles, and it was from Anthony. And the woman was saying, why would somebody seize this? This is obviously not a commercial power bike. It's not, you know, so the abuse of power that took place was what all over social media that we knew would happen, but we didn't expect that it would be that bad.
I'm sure they're putting measures to control such.
Yeah, so I've gotten phone calls that they would release our bike, but, you know, it's really, and because I had the opportunity to call people. One of those I don't know anybody to call.
Let me quickly shout out to the PRO of Eco Disco, Amu Odofi branch. She's such an outstanding woman, too, very professional. Chinelo Ama, as in detailed professional.
Definitely appreciate those that do their job well. We'll take a quick break now.
Women.
When we return, powerful women. We'll take a look at the top stories in the newspaper. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, thanks for staying with us. We'll be starting the front page review, and we'll be starting with The Punch, major headline. Southwest plans anti-graft team for Amotekun. Lagos Ogun-Ekiti harmonized Amotekun bills on Thursday. Ogun-Ekiti police begin community police recruitment. Khan Adeboye lead Christian rally against insecurity. Lassa fever, Ondo places 600 on surveillance. Ban, police nab 40 impounded 266 Okada and Marwa. And in other news, police warns against violence over Oyo local government crisis. Senate plans public hearing on Buhari's $29.9 billion loan request. Tragedy averted as Kaduna Winners Chapel bomber arrested. And NAMA issues 30-day ultimatum to Delta Airlines airports. Finally, coronavirus, quarantine yourself, Lagos tells China returnees. China reports 14,830 cases, 304 deaths. So what are we taking?
Okay, I have that story, the coronavirus story. Quarantine yourself. So here's what the State Commissioner for Health said. That's Professor Akin Abayomi. He said, during unsupervised self-quarantine, we expect persons concerned to respond to the state advice and act as responsible citizens. So basically, he's talking about the need for those who have just come from China or any country that has reportedly, had a case of coronavirus. When they arrive, they are supposed to stay at home. In his words, he said you must monitor yourself closely and diligently during the period, that's the self-quarantine period, to identify, excuse me, if you develop symptoms including but not limited to headache. He gave the symptoms. And then he provided a phone number, in fact, 3 phone numbers for the people who finally realized they developed it. To actually contact the Lagos State Ministry of Health.
So let's not deliberate on it. Let's take the tragedy averted in
Kaduna State. Yes, okay. So the security operative arrested a man who was found with explosives on him on Sunday at a church in Kaduna State, a Living Faith church in Kaduna State. He was on the premises, and the vigilante group that works in the church just found him strange. So they went ahead to ask him questions. Who are you? What are you here for? And he attempted to run away, and so they grabbed him, and that was when they found the explosives on him, and he was taken to the police station. So thank you, the vigilante group, for doing such a good job, and thank God, this did not end up, on the other side of the story. And also, Khan is taking kudos for this, because they said that it's the 3-day fasting and prayer that they had been on that made this a possibility. So thank God for hard work and also prayers. Well done.
So the story about the 266?
Yes. So according to the PRO of the police in Lagos State, Elkanah Bala says that they had about 266 bikes impounded and kekes altogether, and about 40 persons arrested on the Lagos Okada and tricycle restriction order that they issued, and that Also, the Lagos State government has decided to help us with palliative measures, and they are rolling out about 60 buses and 14 ferries on our waterways, and about 550 buses are expected to come into Lagos to ease traffic. So Nigerians are going to have to learn to move at the pace of, yes. But I'm happy that, you know, on the Badagry Expressway up until you get to the trade fair, they've done their work. The construction are almost done, and the middle lane are almost done as well. But the end from there, barracks all the way to Okoko, is under construction. I hope that they don't allow people to continue to make up money off the bike men who, of course, are the solution.
Bikes shouldn't follow those areas now.
Yes, no,
I think that's the first instruction.
So, the truth is, let me quickly inform Lagos State that the Volks, Mowo, Teddy alternative route from Alaba International Market is totally not motorable right now. That alternative, people will have to, you know, bikes are not restricted there. People will continue to have to walk and trek into the express, those living on that axis. So if they continue to do alternative roads and the main roads, I think this thing is a welcome idea.
Moving on to Nigerian Tribune, major headline, Christians flood streets, walk against insecurity and killings. Can President Adeboye lead prayer walk protest? National Assembly may meet Buhari this week. Abducted seminarian found dead in Kaduna, or your local government crisis, sheath your swords. Police warns warring local government LCDA chairman, says we will not tolerate chaos, destruction, and lawlessness. After 17 years, Oshu governor's wife brings stranded indigents back to Nigeria, and police arrest suspected suicide bomber in Kaduna State. Plateau killings, 1,150 women, children displaced. And Okada ban Lagos acquires 65 new buses. Police arrest 40 impound 166 motorcycles, 778 tricycles, and community police begins recruitment of 800 constables in Ekiti State. So what story are we taking? The Plateau killings.
Okay, so the Plateau killings, we remember the sad event that happened in Bokos. And because as a result of that, they have over 1,150 people displaced. So people have left those communities and have gone to stay in the headquarters of the local government areas because they're afraid for their lives. They're afraid that these gunmen are going to come back and attack them because they actually threatened to do so. But, you know, they are asking, here in Plateau State, they are asking that the government should do something concerning security so that people can go back and, you know, face their lives. The places that they are staying, the church premises the space is not enough. There isn't enough food for these people. So there are about 3 churches that these people are right now, and I believe that the state government and the federal government is aware of this position, and we should do something for these people. It is bad enough that they had to leave their homes, but you know, we should create somewhere for them that they're able to at least have food. And one important thing, which we also tend to forget, because these IDPs, we have women, so, and they find it hard to get toiletries. And you know how women, you know, is important for us, especially. So, I mean, I know that Nigerians on their own also do a lot of charity, you know, towards internally displaced people, but the government needs to do more. And
the government really needs to do more with security. The seminarian abducted was, you know, beheaded, killed as well.
Moving on to Daily Sun, major headline. We've taken the story already. No, we haven't taken the story about Khan. Pastor Adeboye marching against killings and kidnapping, and the National Assembly to meet Buhari over insecurity and service chiefs. And in other news, one story we haven't taken is Nigeria acquires in-country capacity to test coronavirus. That's from the minister. So, quickly.
Let me quickly take that. So, according to the Ministry of Health, Nigeria has acquired the spokesperson for the Federal Ministry of Health, Inafa Bob Manuel, that Nigeria has acquired the capacity to tackle coronavirus. You know, that we have the capacity to do it. There was a joke on social media over the weekend where people were saying, Oga, Corona, we are playing, we don't have the capacity. And the reality is that we do not have enough capacity, because even there's also a report by Alibaba on his social media handle about the state of the airport, an area where they are being checked for this. So we really need to be deliberate and very serious about this. We should copy the approach of the Fashola government at the time when it became an issue in Lagos. And we should also remember, it's not every time that we'll have a Stella Dadevo on our hands.
Exactly.
We cannot continue to do things like this with joke and say self-quarantine.
So the story about the protest.
Yes, and a lot of people
saw prayer walk.
Yeah, the prayer walk / protest. A lot of people are saying that it's not a protest, a prayer walk. So Adiboye, the General Overseer of RCCG, and all other leaders of CAN, with Christian Association of Nigeria, led a prayer walk, which is, they had placards, and it was really to ask that something to be done about the insecurity in our country. It's just become horrible. I mean, the other day, the seminarian that was killed, a doctor's wife as well, kidnapped and then killed. And then we have the CAN leader that was beheaded. The young boy from Plateau State on his way to school who was also abducted and then beheaded, and all shown on video. So these are constant. Every day we see these things, and it seems like we're unable to put a handle on it. So it's good to see that the church is standing up and lending their voice to this fight against.
Even if it's a religious body, the reaction of government should be to up security, not to respond and go back and forth.
We're discussing that, funny enough. We're discussing that.
It's beyond just talking about protests, but doing something about it.
Yes, we're going to discuss that further. We have a guest already in the studio who is more informed about what is going on to tackle these issues on a federal level. Next, we have a lineup of hot topics for you. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. As we know, the rising case of insecurity in the last few weeks has been a major cause of concern for all Nigerians, with the two chambers of National Assembly outrightly calling for the dismissal of the service chiefs by the President Muhammadu Buhari. Our federal lawmakers have alluded to the fact that they have outlived their usefulness and that they are bereft of ideas. On the show today, we have the Chairman, House Committee on Defense, Honorable Babajimi Benson, representing the Ikorodu Federal Constituency, to discuss more on this issue. You can join the conversation by calling us on 070-8066-8014, or you could tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets. It's in the papers today. We took the story last week when the National House of Assembly, both chambers spoke up concerning the insecurity challenges. And not just speaking up against the insecurity, but asking specifically for the service chiefs to be sacked. I want to start from there with you. Do you believe that is the right solution? Do you think that they've indeed outlived their relevance? Do you share in the opinion that they are bereft of ideas, in that we've not seen any change or major improvement in the past few weeks? We've seen it deteriorating.
Yes, firstly, I empathize with Nigerians, particularly in the Northeast. A lot of lives have been lost. I was listening to you reeling out the deaths that took place a couple of weeks ago. Recently, the seminarian, the young 19-year-old man, was also beheaded. It's so sad. Yes, last week, emotions were up in the National Assembly, particularly from the constituents, or the constituency that these dastardly incidents happened. What do you expect? The House of Rep member who is defending his federal constituency will get up and show emotions, because these people are helpless at times. So they don't see hope from anywhere. They run to their House of Reps person to make their voice be heard on the National Chamber. But that is what really happened. But if you ask me, I always say that you cannot use law enforcement or security to kill poverty. Change the service chiefs 1 million times. If you don't address the growing number of hopelessness, if we don't address the growing number of unemployment, if we don't address the birth control, 75% of our population are youths. They say that the idle mind is the devil's workshop. So we need to address these things critically. So it takes me to Nigerians, we need to find out what our local government chairmen are doing with the monies allocated to them. We need to find out what the state governments.
So quickly, sir, it seems like you don't agree with the sacking of the service chiefs. And if you do not agree with them, what would you say incapacitates them in the face of this? Because it seems like Boko Haram has already re-strategized and they've metamorphosized from one thing to different faces, from being insurgents to kidnappers to bandits to all sorts of things. And these same service chiefs have been there for this long and they seem not to be strategic.
I'm not speaking for the service chiefs. I'm just addressing the root cause of the matter. At times, I've been privileged enough to speak with the fighters, the armed forces.
On the field.
Yes. And they tell me that, you see, this is a war that is unconventional. Yeah. That at times, it could be the people where they occupy that are the Boko Haram. They strike and they run back. So it's not as if it's a war. It's an internal war. It is Nigerians. It is those constituents.
But we've known that for years. So it's obvious that there might be lack of intelligence or creative ideas on how to effectively fight this. Because the thought would be that this statement you just made, we've heard that, and it's still ongoing. And now we have banditry. If we leave out the major insurgents of Boko Haram and we talk about banditry, it just makes me feel like if they are unable to effectively solve the problem, shouldn't we just change them? Are you sure that changing them will not bring in a fresh idea, bringing fresh opinion, will not rejig and sort of bring in new?
Again, I would speak from the position of knowledge. Our armed forces, you have maybe less than 250,000 men. Less than, and they are operational in about 35 of the 36 states we have. The police, I'm sure you know, the index per citizen is one of the lowest in the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes? So the information gathering, the community policing thing should be actually done by the police or any other arrangement that may come to place. The armed forces comes in if there's external aggression issues, or when the commander-in-chief instructs them to do. But that is not really their primary job. These same armed forces, when they go to Liberia, when they go to Sierra Leone, when they go to other parts of the world, they are the best. And to be frank with you, I have met, before I became the chairman of the House Committee on Defense, I used to have misgivings about the armed forces. But I have met one of the finest crop of Nigerians working and dying for their nation. Again, Nigerians think that Nigeria, that is the armed forces that is at war with the Boko Haram. It is actually all of us, because they are funded from your taxpayers' money. They're funded by your taxpayers' money. One of your family or your relative may be part of them. So I think rather than vilify and put them to sword, I think they need some moral boosting, encouragement, and things like that. And I also tell you some things. Again, I said I'm privileged. I have seen some of the innovation and devices that they've made coming from the experiences from this war. There's what you call the Ezugu MRAP. You know these trucks that Nigeria, they started making it. And it was designed by a 30-something-year-old boy. I was even going to recommend him for a national award. These are investments that Nigerians don't even, I even talked to the military, that you guys, you need to communicate strategically. You know, there are a lot of things going on. There's a device they made to detect bombs. The biggest is 5 kilometers. It covers 5 kilometers. They have one, they invented one that can cover 50 kilometers. So they took it to a lab outside of Nigeria. That country wanted to steal it. Now we had to put our feet down to say, no, this is
an innovation from Nigeria.
Yeah. So there are a plethora of very good things that they've done that nobody is talking about.
I'll take a quick break, Mariam. Immediately we come back from this short break, I'll take a question from Mariam on this insecurity challenges. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
We still have Honorable Jimmy Benson with us here, and we're still discussing the challenges of insecurity in Nigeria. And Mariam, you have a question?
Yes. So you talk about all the various things that they have been doing, which is very commendable, and we do not get to hear a lot of that. But apart from that, is that it seems like it's not reflecting on what's happening underground. I mean, we can list all the fantastic things they're doing, but if people are still killed and so, you know, people would not understand what this is. But I had something came to me on my way to work today when I was just thinking about these killings, and I said, these insurgents and terrorists use our people because they do not have work, and so they are open to just be recruited. How come we're not making use of that same strategy these insurgents are using? We have so many people without jobs. Why don't we just take them and recruit them? I understand to recruit in like the Nigerian army and police, you need to have some form of education, but shouldn't we even start now, recruit them and educate them while on it, so they are not available to people who would use them for things like this?
Yes, fantastic observation. This is one of the things that we're meeting the service chiefs this week. And this is one of the takeaways that we're going to be discussing with them. You two go into the pool where they're recruiting. Recruit police, recruit community policing.
Yes.
Which is why I'm extremely happy with what's going on about the Amotekun. You know, all politics is local. All security too should be local.
I thought that was what they were doing with JTF. You know, they have this
Civilian
joint
JTF.
Civilian JTF.
Yes, it can be better. It can be deepened. We brought our democracy, our presidential system from the United States of America. We imported everything from the legislature, separation of powers and all this. But we did not import community policing, state policing.
Yeah.
I'm curious. Why would you have a federal system and you don't allow the states to be able to police their locality? I'm sure if we had that, we would not be where we are today. 400,000 policemen, 250,000 armed forces, policing 200 million people. It is ludicrous.
We have a call. I'll come to you, Mary, after this phone call. Trudy has called from Abuja. Welcome to the show. Good morning.
Trudy.
Hello. Good morning, Trudy. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Good morning.
From Kaduna State.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Babajimi.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, in fact, I am listening with keen interest the discussion concerning the security challenges we are having in our country at present. As the House of Representatives, in unison with the Senate, you people have come up with a very good idea, talking about changing the security chiefs. It is quite good to do that. And aside of doing that, I want the government and you, our representatives, to look into critically the level of unemployment in this country. It is contributing a lot to give vent to the level of insecurity the Nigerian country is currently facing. I want to believe that if unemployment is addressed to a level, then this insecure situation will equally be addressed to a level. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, Trudy.
Thank you.
Mary, you have a question.
So that brings me to my question. It's kind of even linked to what you said. It has to do with funding. Now, I know for sure that for you to employ people into these arms, especially the ones being created, there's also the issue of funding. Are there other avenues being created already for it? Because the last thing we need again is another long drawn out minimum wage issue, especially when the workforce increases in Nigeria. Are there ways, are there modalities in place to fix this?
Yes, there are no modalities, but we have to think out of the box. It is only in Nigeria that military hardware or infrastructure or recurrent issues are funded from the budgets. In most other countries, there are other sources in which you use to fund these things. At some point, we're toying with having an armed forces fund like the police have. You know, that would also ensure that other revenue-generating agencies of government tap into a pool, and we use that to increase capacity and fund. There's that. So we're looking at it, and again, you know, the funding and revenue sources in Nigeria, it's not unlimited. You know, so funding challenges, but these are things that we should be able to surmount, because if there is no peace, there won't be investment, there won't be, insecurity will be right.
Since 2015.
No.
It was a problem the government was aware of before coming in.
Let me say something. For the first time, the 9th Assembly has the armed forces as a legislative agenda. So we are already committed to ensuring that they get better funding and they get access to critical infrastructure they need.
Let's take this phone call from Hassan, called all the way from Lekki. Welcome to the show. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Thank you.
Mr. Babajimi, I'm very happy that you are here. And because you are very close to the power that be, and you are one of the people that are involved in the design for now in terms of defense. So I'm talking to the right person. You see, it is enough of this slogan of lack of employment, enough of this slogan of lack of this going to school, lack of this, lack of that. This is the time, right time to act, to face the monster. What is happening in the Northeast for now is that there is this issue of military be at defensive. They are not dealing with the Boko Haram. They are much more concerned about repelling them. And that is not what they were sent to do. The chiefs, the army chiefs started very well. We knew. But now they have outlived their usefulness. Let us have other people to do it. Leave this issue of all this Almajiri, all this, all that. It's an excuse. All this slogan of unemployment is an excuse. Let us face our problem. You understand? Anybody that is above 50 years in northern Nigeria is a product, a Muslim, is a product of Almajiri school. You understand? Forget about these people. Even Metasini found a ready-made army in Almajiris because the Malams key into the Metasini project. The same thing that is happening with Boko Haram. It has nothing to do. If people are ready to fight Boko Haram, look at what happened in Kano. People of Kano stood up against Boko Haram. Have you heard anything about Boko Haram again in Kano? Let people stand up and fight it. If people are serious, if the Nigerian army are serious, they will fight Boko Haram to a standstill. Good morning.
Thank you, Hassan, for your contribution. So,
his points are...
His points are, yeah, it's everywhere, but some very valid in that people must be involved to deal with the issues of insecurity in this country. But going back to the fact that the service chiefs have outlived their relevance, in that they've been there since 2015, and there was a bit of improvement immediately they came in. You know, sometimes that first move that they make with being freshly appointed tends to make a whole lot of difference. So when you change quickly, you might be able to quickly bring in fresh perspective and somebody who wants to make an impression and quickly sit up also. Don't you think that that might be important? Also, we don't see enough engagement between the military and the media, and we know that the media is important with shaping the opinions of the people. And so when the military official, the chiefs, because we can't even talk to the people that are any other person, they don't allow them to talk about the issues going on, are not upfront with what they are doing and how we can help. We're just assuming what the people can do. But if they come straight and say, this is how we want the people of Borno State to help the military officials there, this is the expectation the military have of these people, these are the numbers you can call, and that is open and clear to everyone in the states where they are actually actively operative. It might help to reduce one of things. What do you think?
Yes, you've hit the nail on the head. You know, initially I spoke about strategic communication. I admit it's lacking a bit. So they need to engage more. Nigerians want to know what's happening. Because what is happening in Borno affects the entire Nigeria.
Yes.
You know, when they are indexing Nigeria or doing the profiling and co, any aspect where the issue covers the entire Nigeria. So I agree with you. They need to communicate more. They need to speak to Nigerians more. But again, they also say that security are issues you discuss outside of the public. So that
we don't want to do the strategy. We
yeah.
just want to know how to help. Neymar has a question.
I wanted to ask your take on the regional security that we're now resorting to, because every region is resorting as their problems come. So the Southwest have started their Motekun, the Northeast and North Central are already calling for their own, that, you know, we need to help ourselves. People are now resorting to self-help. How divisive is this? Is it a solution? Is it divisive? And in fact, the detonated young man, the man who was with some explosives that was detonated, people are calling that he's underreported because he's not a Muslim, he's not a Fulani man. And that's why he's underreported. They're not putting his name out there. So how much of a solution is this regional help that we're now resorting to? And is it possible that eventually this is security restructuring at the end of the day if we don't do something about it?
That'll be our last question, so we'd like you
Thank you very much for that question, and it's a very apt question. I believe that the Amotekun type security arrangement should come and stay. And I said earlier that we imported every aspect of federal system of government, except state police, community policing, and co. So I think it is something that would bridge the security gap immediately, because the employees of those outfits will be citizens or will be residents of that area. So that is the best way of intelligence, gathering it from the source before it blows up. Secondly, 250 armed forces, 400,000 policemen to police a people of 200 million naira. It is not just absurd, it is ludicrous.
There's just one quick, short question. The wearing of camouflage by civilians, is there a law against it? We need to know, because we get people brutalized and battered by military.
Yes, I'm still trying to lay my hands on the law, but I understand where the military are coming from as well, because we live in very interesting times. So somebody can wear the camouflage and you will think that he's one of you, but he may be the enemy. So, but you have to draw the line between maintaining peace and also allowing, if there's no law that goes against it, communication, like she said. We need to know where they are coming from.
What is acceptable fashionably,
exactly.
and what isn't acceptable.
Because I know abroad, you have the
everybody wears everything.
Yes, I even have some, but I keep them at home because I don't want to
where you are not here.
When I'm not, exactly.
Okay, sir. As we run off and round off this segment, I want to ask what should we expect from your committee, and what you've called the service chief to come, you've called the president. What should we expect? What should Nigerians expect from you?
Exactly. So Nigerians have spoken passionately about insecurity. We hear them loud and clear, but we don't believe in shaving people's heads behind their backs. There may be some critical information that these guys have that is not in the public domain that they don't want to say it out. We want to listen to them, we want to hear them out. It is after we do that that we'll now make our strong commitment or communication to Mr. President on what to do or not what to do. But we do not take the security of lives and property in Nigeria for granted, and we are sure that on Wednesday, we will do our possible best to ensure we extract as much commitment from them as well, that this thing would die down in the shortest possible time.
Thank you so much, Honorable Jimmy Benson. You sound very calm, somehow convincing, and I hope that our audience have been convinced about your commitment to improve our security challenges in Nigeria. That's all we can take on this segment. When we return, we'll be discussing the lineup of hot topics. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. That was a really down, emotionally draining story because the insecurity challenges in Nigeria is serious. However, a report has it that the Economic Financial Crime Commission has barred married people from participating in the ongoing recruitment process. So the recruitment notice of the agency, one of the criteria listed was that applicants must be single. This decision has, however, been criticized by the Nigerian Employers Consultative Forum, NECA, an affiliate of the Nigerian Labour Congress. What are your thoughts on this? To give us a view, you have to call us on 07080668014. And of course, you know that you can only tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag your view TVC. So the worry people have is it that married people, married men or married women, can't be effective detectives because those are the areas they are trying to employ people into. And we're still waiting to get what the EFCC reply would be. What they said was these are the requirements they've given for these positions. Mariam, what was your opinion when you first saw this? I think it broke since last week.
Yes, it did last week. Of course, immediately you see that, you first think there's some sort of the disenfranchising of a group of people. But then I thought about it because we watch American movies and we see detectives, they do all sorts of jobs. You go undercover. And I also looked at the ages that they mentioned. So it's ages from age 21, there's 25, I think, to about 27. So these are really young people. And I can understand why it will be necessary to have people who will be completely committed in cases like that. And based on the American movies we watch. So when you go undercover, you can go for months and months on end. You pretend to be someone you're not. And I wonder how that works with marriages. But I also heard that this does not mean that they're all unmarried people in the EFCC, that there are other sort of jobs that you can work, that you have at the EFCC that does not require you to be that young or unmarried.
Okay.
I want the more legal perspective because it wouldn't be seen as...
They can roll out
whatever they want
criteria. And I would like people to test it in court. If it's discriminatory, of course, the court will buy it. But if there's a valid ground for it, and the court will consider the circumstances and mischief around what informs it. So if the court thinks that it's right, it's something that the court might uphold. But even though it discriminates against people's rights. But I'd like to see a system that is more accommodating of, everybody. Because I am aware within security agencies, and I'd like to just keep this one, Mom, that there's a particular one where you have to be unmarried, and if you do get married, you can have a child within 3 years that you join the force. So you're probably having a marriage, and I think it destabilizes you when they start to give you such requirements of not having a child or not being married. So a young lady who is engaged to be married now, and that's what Nigerians do. Most Nigerians secretly marry. There are no jobs. People will do anything to get the jobs if you continue to put these parameters down. People will be honest with what they do.
Isn't it legitimate for them to make such requirements, though, being that we want them to be focused on their job? The employer knows the kind of job they want their employee to do. And so some of the jobs might not require you being pregnant. It just might not work. So if you know that you want your family or raising and starting a family is your focus, then you wouldn't enroll in such an agency because you already know this is the requirement.
I understand you, but I don't agree.
Okay.
This thing works both ways. On the one hand, if you want to have a family, you probably have to step down from whatever it is you're doing.
Okay.
From this angle, and going by what Mariam said, we watch movies, a lot of foreign movies. These things there's certain jobs that will take you for a very long while, away from your family and all. So perhaps what the EFCC wants is focus on your job for a number of years. Of course, you might get a promotion or you could be moved to another department when you finally decide to start a family. But focus on your job. They're believing that at 21 years, for many young people, you're probably not ready to get married. You're not ready to settle down and have a family. So by the time you're nearing 25, 26, you've given your best years, so to speak, to the EFCC, and they can now say, okay, you know what, you're probably good enough, we can give you this position. But on the other hand, especially for the purpose of, inclusion, because at the end of the day, we have to talk about women. It's always a case of the women are the ones who are going to come with the huge pregnancy. And so in the case of the inclusion, there's need for consideration to be given as well, because
That's
women
why
cannot stop their
they
lives.
didn't say women, so it was about
Yes.
so
It was
both
just
male and
both
female.
male and female. We have Irene on the
that's
phone.
going to the marriage,
Irene, welcome to the show. Good
pregnancy
morning.
Hi, ladies. I really enjoyed the program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My own thinking on this, on EFCC bearing married people, is not really fair, because when you look at the situation in the country, that is why we have so many people lying. You understand? Because when you have no job and this is an opportunity for you to get a job, you see some people lying that they are not married, whereas they are married. You understand? The government in question should look into this, because unemployment is giving so many people things that they are not supposed to do. You understand? When there's no employment in the country, people are bound to lie to secure a good one. And I don't see the reason why they will say married people should not work. What has that got to do with the job they want to do? And so there are some hidden things that people don't understand. Because when they are talking about undercover, especially for women, as the other lady said, that the American movie, you see some women that they will go to a place, they will pretend as if they are single, they do a lot sort of things. You understand? To get the truth out of the criminal whatsoever.
Thank you for your contribution, Irene. The specific roles, they want to employ someone to be detective assistant, detective assistant. They want a detective inspector.
Yes.
Then they want a detective superintendent. So these are all detectives. And ICPC is also recruiting, and ICPC did not give bar married people from coming in. So do you think it is valid for NECA to be making an issue out of this, considering the fact that these roles are for detectives? Probably they are likely going to be going undercover, because we need to do more thorough investigations.
For the job of the ICPC, dealing with corruption in all facets of it, it might be not exactly what the EFCC does, which is fraud. And they will need agile, agents and all that. It might not really be. But the truth is, the realities in Nigeria is that people do age changing. They drop their ages. People are willing to pay for jobs. So people will drop their age. People will hide their marriage status. People will do all sorts of things for the job. So I would like that, they are more proactive, more strategic about their recruitment. Yes.
They should have just made it open for everybody, and then when they now want to recruit, they recruit only the married single ones. Yes. We have a call. Okay. I'll come to you immediately after this phone call. Yakub, welcome to the show. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you in the studio.
Good morning.
I don't know, maybe I'm permitted to say something about the first topic.
Please go ahead.
Come back. Yeah, you see, for me, the question we need to ask ourselves is this. Even if they change the statistic today, although I'm of opinion as well that those people, those are statistics, they have stayed beyond what they normally is supposed to stay. They should be changed. But if they even change them, if there is not any right weapon to fight these called so criminals, we will still back to zero crime. Because I heard in one of your programs in studio there, a journalist and that Chadian soldier, they have more weapons than Nigeria. How come? Are they more rich than us? We cannot buy weapons for our soldiers. And then what really happens to those wives, children, those ones that are falling heroes, leave behind? The Nigerian government take care of them so that they can put morale of the people still remain in the war front. In order for them to not even if anything happens to me today, my wife, my children, they are not going to lack of anything. Those are the things that we need to listen to. Come to this question, to this topic rather. You see, the core work of EFCC is intelligence, it is investigation. You don't need to ban people because they ban people because they marry. What are they going to carry guns up and down? They wanted to investigate who is corrupt people in our society. All what the job is that they go to the system, investigate, and bring them to the justice. So what are you buying them for? So people will be not lie, and then you tell them they shouldn't lie because they want to secure the job. Now if they lie, what?
Thank you, Yakub.
You were saying something that maybe they shouldn't have made it public, the information public, but I think it's always better to be upfront, because a lot of people would have gone in, and then if you had been disengaged, because of your marital status, it will become a serious legal issue. So it's definitely better to speak up. But also, even though I think, you know, we may look at it as being discriminatory, and we have people calling to say that's why people lie about their ages, that's why people lie about their status. And I'm saying places like the EFCC, ICPC, we actually need people of good character. You should not be seen to be, you should not be seen to be deceitful. So if you were the sort of person that would change your name or lie about that, then you shouldn't even be there in the first place. And now they've given you the reason to not even have like if you had come in and say, oh, I didn't realize I wasn't meant to be married, or they have given you the information up front.
Specifically.
So, just to talk about this, it still brings me back to the issue of self-inclusion. Because when you talk about a woman that comes and says, you know what, I am very single now, and she gets married, it's more obvious to tell that she's married because she's the one going to be, you know, going to.
So you're thinking that this would be more? No, but I don't think they didn't exclude married men. They didn't include married men also. So I think just assuming what the EFCC was thinking of is the fact that they want people with less attachments. So if you're married, your primary attachment will be to your spouse. But if you're single, you might probably be able to immerse yourself more into your job than any other thing. If it's about reducing attachments and all of that, and there are many, and that's why I support I read out person that was suggesting, don't make it open. There are many covert units in developed countries when you watch their movies that these people, they try to look for recruits, people with no affiliations, because they feel these will be more selfless in service and they won't be trying to please anybody. EFCC is a role where corruption is a major problem we see everywhere. So having to fight an agency that will fight corruption decisively, we should get the best hands there. So we don't want people lying in that place.
I wonder what the EFCC would do when if they, after maybe a period of time, maybe 10 years, and their best hands are now dragging on the job because they are all married. Would the FCC just sack them? Is being married a status that disqualifies you from doing a good job? You see, because we like to do the easy route. How about having officials that, you know, you teach the worth of your job, people who do the balance,
standards,
who knows the balance, people who have children and know that this is important. We see officials, we see videos of parents returning from war areas and meeting up their kids in school, people who left a 2-year-old child to join the war, and put in their best only to come home to see their children. If we could put in that kind of work here, it will work.
You know what? Let
me just take Kayode.
Okay.
Kayode, welcome to the show. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. What's your contribution to this or the previous topic?
All right. The very first topic that we discussed this morning, I want to actually say that there is no weapon we can use in fighting Nigerian insecurity than unemployment.
Yeah.
We have to consider this young.
Advance.
Oh.
Simply means that even me myself, to some extent, I'm open to some desperate opportunities that come my way just to make my living. So we should think about it that the very first thing to tackle this issue is to get these people a job. Any youth that involve themselves in such a situation, talk to them, ask them, what is your problem? They will actually tell you that they have nothing doing, so which means that they are open to any opportunity. So to tackle it is just getting them a job done.
Thank you, Kayode.
Yeah. I was just going to say, Nima made the point. He says, you know, when you get married, are you saying it would stop you from doing well? And I'm thinking that the more important or the more problem for workforce in Nigeria, I see, is people that work in church workers. They cannot come on Monday because there's church service, you know, on Tuesday. So it might not even be married people that will be a problem. For people who have to be in church on a Tuesday, on a Wednesday, on a Thursday, maybe that's what we should be looking at instead of people who are married.
Let's take a few tweets.
So, sorry.
Wow, so then Adetola says, I'll forever remain single outside, but I'll be married inside. Most of us will not be faithful about our marital status. If I'm married on my CV, I'll remain single till I get a job.
Okay, on the other topic, Chibuzo says, changing the security head chiefs is a good idea, but we must also change our attitude and care more for our security personnel. Festus Akimboyewa says, since providing security for Nigerians remains the most important responsibility of government, the federal government should secure our security and intelligence agencies and give them the resources that they need.
Mr. PJ Comedian says, maybe it's because married people are more vulnerable and might compromise if their family is threatened in the course of an investigation. But a single person does not have such an issue to worry about.
That's it.
All right, we'll take this. Let's take this phone call. Abiola has called us. Welcome to the show. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, first time caller.
Oh, good to have you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, talking about this insecurity. Some people are saying it's because people don't have jobs. Do they take into consideration how many people are coming out of university every year? How do you think this government can provide employment for at least half of those who have come out from university? Federal government cannot provide job for everybody. We need to extend our, all this to all angles. Let us look at farming and the other things that we can do. People are looking for a collar job. Let me go to secretariat, let me go to bank, let me go to industry. It's not possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So we had another topic that we're going to discuss concerning the Vice President talking about the fact that federal allocation is making some states too dependent on the center. And this has brought up different sides of the conversation. We've discussed it a few times. We've discussed the fact that states should have more internally generated revenue. And when we talk about, and I'm linking into this issue because when we talk about insecurity, people are rushing to get into EFCC because there are no jobs out there. They want job security. They want where they are sure they would get some form of a proper remuneration, and they would also get health care, pension, all that stuff. People are also turning into crime because they actually are idle. They don't have jobs. So if we have states generating their own more internally generated revenue, and they are functioning well, if everybody isn't rushing to Lagos to pick up a bike to ride, if you can be comfortable generating your business in Kebbi, in Ebonyi, in every of those states, in farming and in other areas, wouldn't that help to reduce many of those challenges that we're complaining about holistically?
Well, there is no doubt about that. Funds are important, and that was why I had to mention it then. Funds are important when you want to recruit people, when you want to even improve the economy and all. Generating funds internally has become pertinent. I take Lagos State, for example. Lagos State would not have survived at some point in time if there was no ITR. And I also keep looking at several states that, why is there so much concentration on Lagos State? Yes, Lagos can be like the New York. Yeah, that's fine. But why can't we also work on other states?
We have sustainable economies.
Exactly. So many states, like Lagos is like everybody has to go to Lagos. You can create very viable economies in other places. Go to Port Harcourt, for example. Things are thriving there. You go to some other places, things are thriving there. It doesn't have to be a
Mary,
centralized
for me, what is really sad for places like, because there are some of the states that every year account for very low IGR. And one of the states is Taraba State. So, and it's sad because many years growing up with that, I mean, I have like half my relatives are from there. I know that place very well because as children would go there, and the stories we always hear is the potential that is there. And I mean, from when I was a child till today, that is what people talk about the potential. There's this story my grandma used to say to us that the Chinese one time came to Taraba State and were like, if they could only get this state alone, it's enough to feed their whole country because of the potential that is there. Our leaders are not creative. And I think that, yes, having that federal government allocation has kept them lazy in a way, you know, because you know at the end of the day you would get something. It's just like people when they work for a salary at the end of the month, whether you do your best or not, you will get it at the end of the day. And I think that states need to do better.
We have a phone call. Let me just quickly get a phone call and I'll come back to you. Welcome to the show. Good morning. I hope you haven't.
My name is Bawali from Magodo.
Welcome to the show, Bawali.
Yes, ma'am. Please, I'm actually saying something different from what you guys are discussing.
Okay.
I just want to bring it to the notice of the media. I observed something and I felt I should just say it out. Under the bridge at Bega, I have seen 2 instances where policemen arrest young guys on mufti. The policemen are on mufti, and they will just hold the hands of these guys in order to exploit them. I think I'm just bringing to the notice of the media so that the person in charge of the police can look into this issue. That's just what I just have to say.
There's a point to report that I know that police officers caught in such acts are being prosecuted presently. In fact, in Lagos, there's a unit for that. If only you could
put it up on our social media.
Yeah, I'll try and get the number for that from the person in charge. I wanted to say, without disagreeing with Miriam, that the states are lazy, we also know that our lawmakers are the problem. We can't continue to have our minds and resources under federal and not expect them to go to the center for money. There's a law in Nigeria that forbids states from harnessing the resources under their capacity. So a Taraba, for instance, is just rich in resources. Yeah. Until federal government is ready to go and put power there and monetize it and do other things and monetize the tea and all that.
So you're saying that what the vice president is saying is not
generating IGR for a state like Taraba that does not have the potential of the coastal area that Lagos has is not going to be...
Now, we'll be taking a break. When we take a break now, however, the challenge will be that those watching us on TVC News won't be able to continue watching the show because we're going to be coming back to only TVC Entertainment. There'll be a live broadcast continuing from after this break. But if you are watching us through TVC News, please just go and join us on YouTube. You'll still watch us live on social media. And if you're watching on TVC Entertainment, just stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Welcome back to the show. So we've been discussing the Vice President's statement concerning the dependency of states on federal allocation being the reason why they are not functioning as expected. And Nima was making the point of the fact that there's this exclusive list and the concurrent list, and the fact that most of the resources you're saying might be in Taraba are on that list that the Taraba state governor can't touch. I disagree, though. Continue with
No, I'm sure of this, because Taraba is a farming community, largely. And the resources Miriam talked about, the potential that you talk about, are still within federal capacity. Now, for a Taraba state governor to bring in the investors to come and start to harness power, for instance, is not within his purview. So imagine one of the greatest potential of Taraba is the Mambila Plateau.
Yes.
So imagine that, he has the means to generate the fund to put that power plant there. Eventually, he will monetize it, and his people are secure for life.
Hold on for me,
but this is within federal allocation.
Let me explain the reason why I don't agree with that statement. When a governor is ready to generate income for his state, the governor would sit up at the governor's
Executive Council.
He would summon his state House of Assembly and pressure the federal government to release the resource within his purview. That is the creativity I'm expecting from governors that are saying, I can't touch the gold there, it's not within my purview.
No, it's not like they're not touching the gold.
What you would do is to ensure that I want to access this thing. I was surprised when a lot of South governors didn't pressure Governor Jonathan at the time to ensure that the pots in their location become up. It was just a matter of, if you don't have funds, you become creative. That's the thing.
The way I look at this thing, this is like us rehashing things that have happened in the past, right? Now, moving forward, the Vice President has said, you guys should start considering this. It's because of this that you guys are depending so much on federal allocation, right? This is an opportunity to now get all these things corrected.
They need to decongest this exclusive list. Basic. Decongest the exclusive list and let's have the governor's party. I will join in blaming them exclusively for this. Empower them. In Akwa Ibom, for instance, you know that the gas that we flare is enough to power the entire southern region if we allowed Akwa Ibom to deal with it. If we allowed Mambila Plateau, a lot of issues that would have been, we should just decentralize this.
So don't you agree with me that the states should take initiative, the state governor should take initiative to move for what they want to do?
That is why I would disagree. It is a simple matter. If the governor in Taraba State, for instance, was a PDP member, it's problem for him. If he is an APC member, he's a rebellious governor within the party.
But we've had a state, we've had Lagos State rebel
politics that we run, and they were starved of their funds for 8 years.
But then they got what they wanted.
They were able to finally stand
now
on their
with the minimum wage that has been made important for all the state governors to pay. So states like this who have very low IGR are going to struggle. And unless, of course, we say, you know, they have to find a way to play the politics in such a way that it benefits them and it benefits their people. Because they cannot give excuses. What are we going to have? Are we going to now have Nigerians who will not be paid for months and months on end because they have refused to be creative enough?
They'll simply be tasked.
That angle is also part of the problem. Because like a Lagos State, I was telling someone something. When you retire as a Lagos State, for example, a Lagos State nurse, you probably get about, say, 12 million in total. Yeah. But a federal nurse, we earn 19 million. Okay. Meanwhile, as a Lagos State nurse, working in a lawsuit, for example, you are overworked and you are not earning something that will at least encourage you when you retire. So Lagos State should be able to pay more, right? But no, that's not the case. Why? Because even the revenue gotten from Lagos State is also being spread across. So much so that states that don't generate so much still are forced to, you know, take part and enjoy in this. It also brings to mind the issue of alcohol. I know that one raised an opera one time. That why is it that states that don't allow it are benefiting from revenue?
So, but you know, we had that discussion, and that the man spoke about the pie. And how this is everybody contributes to it so as to help your weaker your weaker brothers, because if only one person, if only the person that the federal system does not, is about us sharing and helping each other out. That's what we're doing, and that way, if money comes in from Lagos State, the money is supporting and helping other states in the environment. Because Lagos in isolation, taking in all the money would not benefit other people around. So how can we now help our brothers and other states to generate income? Can we share our knowledge as opposed to sharing money alone? That's another side we can look at.
These are things we need to look at, really.
These are discussions we should be having before election, not after election like this. But when we start thinking about this, or we start working in this line, it will prepare us effectively for the questions to ask when governors come up and say, vote for me. I'll now ask, what will you do better?
That has actually become something that I say all the time, that I am better informed, you know, to know the sort of questions. When people come here to sit down and say, we're running for office in your communities, you know the sort of questions to ask of them.
So let me quickly say that in Lagos State, one of the highest ways of generating revenue is to pay tax. And taxing, Lagosians are always complaining that they're overtaxed in Lagos. So imagine that every state is copying that model. That's not the only. Let's have states harness their resources. Imagine if Lagos State was in control of the waterways in Lagos alone. It's a major resource for them. We have some tweets on the topic.
Okay, but I have tweets on previous topics. Yeah. Okay, so Tobias Micah says the rise of violence is as a result of increase in childbirth. How can a sane man give birth to 20 children? Is it possible to provide for all the needs of that child?
Okay. Ilesomi says an EFCC investigative job is not a desk job where you watch TV and move files all day. It's a field job that has no certainty of exactly how every day will go. If they have discovered that unmarried folks are more suitable for such jobs, then let it be.
Olusegun says, not all jobs are meant for everyone, and not all information can be given out as to why EFCC wants that spec. It is highly sensitive organization and have most information classified.
Correctly.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Kehinde Nafiu says, considering the Nigerians climb today, I think I go with the listed criteria.
Okay. So apparently many people on Twitter understand why EFCC has given those requirements, and they support EFCC on the venture. We wish EFCC all the best of luck, and we pray for more wisdom for our security officials as they go ahead. That's all we can take on the show today. I'll be seeing you, or we'll be seeing you tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye.